Okay, so we have this question here. They're saying solve for x given that 2 natural log of x minus natural log of x plus 1 equals 0. All right, so let me put it here. 2 natural log of x minus natural log of x plus 1 equals 0. We have to solve for x. All right. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to apply the power rule of logarithms. All right. Because let me show you the power rule of logarithms here. Power rule of logarithms says this. Okay. If you have a number, if you have a number in front of any logarithm, like the one we have here, 2 natural log of x. All right. This number which is in front here becomes the power. So this becomes natural log over x squared. Okay. This 2 natural log of x converts to natural log of x squared. All right. We're using this property of logarithms here. Have you seen? Log b m to the power k. This k just comes in front of the log here, as you can see here. Comes in front of the logarithm here. K log bm. So this is the same law we're applying here. So that these are not natural logs, and we're dealing with natural logarithms here. Okay. So this 2 natural log of x equals natural log of x squared, applying the power rule. So in our example here, it's going to become natural log of x squared minus natural log over x plus 1 equals 0. Okay. Then step 2, whenever you see logarithms are subtracting themselves, okay, here we've got natural log, they are subtracting themselves here. You're going to apply the quotient rule of logarithms, which is here. Have you seen this? You can put it like this: natural log of m minus natural log of n will give you the natural log of m divided by n. Okay, this is the quotient rule for logarithms. So anytime you see two logs are subtracting each other, just know you need to apply these rules. Okay. The questions with logarithms, if you see an addition, product rule, subtraction, quotient rule. So in this case here, we're going to apply the quotient rule here, and we're going to say natural log, open brackets, x squared over x plus 1 equals 0. Okay. Yes. Whenever you see logarithms are subtracting themselves, this is what you're going to need to do. All right. Then at this point, this is where you apply the inverse property of natural logarithms. Okay. The inverse property of natural logarithms says if the natural log of a equals 0, then a equals 1. Okay. So basically, we're just saying the natural log of 1 is 0. Okay. The natural log of 1 is 0. So now here, if we apply that same law here, okay, natural log of a equals 0, then a equals 1. So now if we apply it to our question here, natural log of x Squared over x plus 1 equals 0. Then x squared over x plus 1 must equal to 0. Okay, colleagues? We've applied this law. Okay. So this x squared plus over x plus 1, we're going to equate it to 1. Okay. So we're going to say x squared over x plus 1 equals 1. Okay. Then we now can solve for x. So in order to solve for x, we're going to have to cross multiply. Okay, think of this as 1 over 1. So you x squared times 1, you get x squared. 1 times x plus 1, you're going to get here 1 times x plus 1. Okay, and we're going to say x squared equals 1 times x, that gives us x. 1 times 1, that is 1. So we have x plus 1 here. Okay. Then we can now we take this x and this 1 over to the other side so that we form a quadratic equation. Okay, so it's going to become x squared. Then when this x from this side comes here, it becomes minus x. And then also this 1, when it comes over this side, it becomes minus 1 equals 0. We now have a quadratic equation. Okay, we now have a quadratic equation. So we can see this quadratic equation. Can we solve it by factorization? Let's see if we can solve it by factorization. Remember the quadratic equations, colleagues. A is the coefficient of x squared. You have a 1 in front of this x squared, so a equals 1. B is the coefficient of x. This x has a 1 also here, so it's negative 1. C is this negative 1 here. C equals negative 1. So let's say if we can solve this by factorization. So the factorization, you're going to say a times c. That's going to say 1 times negative 1. That gives you positive 1. So we have to find two factors of 1 that when you multiply those two factors, you get positive 1. And when you add those factors, you get negative 1. Okay, so let's see, negative 1 and negative 1. No. 1 and... So basically, there are no factors of 1 that can do that. So we need to use now the quadratic formula. Because we can't solve this by factorization. We can only solve it by the quadratic formula. So, quadratic formula, remember, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, we already have our b. B is negative 1, so you're going to say negative 1 plus or minus square root. B squared is negative 1. B b squared is -1. We're going to say -1 squared minus 4 times a is +1 times c is -1. If there's no space there, let me make space here. Let me make space so that it's clear. Yeah, so we say negative, b is -1, so -1 plus or minus b is -1, so we're going to say -1 squared minus 4 times a is 1, +1, b, c is -1, so 4 times 1 times -1 over 2 times 1. Okay. Okay. So -1 here, negative and negative make positive, so we have 1 plus or minus square root -1 squared, that is 1, minus 4 times 1, that's 4. 4 times -1, that's -4 over 2. Okay. Equals, you're going to say 1 plus or minus square root. Negative and negative here make positive, so it's the same as 1 plus 4. 1 plus 4, that is 5 over 2. Okay. So now we're going to separate this. This is by the plus and minus here. So we're going to say 1 plus square root of 5 over 2, or 1 minus square root of 5 over 2. Okay. Now remember, with logarithms, you are not supposed to get a negative answer. Okay. Your value of x cannot be a negative answer. Okay. So this 1 minus the square root of 5 over 2, we don't care about it because we know the answer will be a negative value. Okay. And with logarithms, you can't have x can't be a negative value. Okay. So we'll just focus on this one here because this is the only one which will give us a positive value. Okay. This is the one that will give us a positive value. This other one will give us a negative. And with logarithms, always remember this, with logarithms, your value of x cannot be negative. Because if you bring that negative value in the original expression, you are going to get, your answer won't be defined. Excuse me. So we say, what's the square root of 5? Square root of 5 is Square root of 5 is 2.23. Okay. 2.23 plus 1, that's 3.23. 3.23 divided by 2, we got 1.61. Okay. So our value of x in this question is 1.61. X equals 1.61. As I said earlier on, logarithms, you can't have a negative value of x. That's why I haven't continued solving this negative side here. Okay, because I know I'm getting a negative value. Yes. Any questions, colleagues? This was a long process. Okay, I hope I didn't lose